Is this an adventure or what? We don't need unexplained phenomena. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey we're taking you on. I know you come expecting to hear about big cats, cryptids, UFOs. We will touch on some of that, but I think it's worth sharing some of this with you, don't you? There's only 2 living souls up here today.
Because I can see it in my mind, I can see it in my head what I saw, but I can't describe.
Our eyes was closed, like a brightish light in my face, and I just felt paralysed.
Someone said there's something out there, so we had a look. It looked like a walnut. That's the only way I can describe it.
It was like it had loads of tiny little windows all over it, and it had lights in those windows, but not a light that illuminates.
Anyway, we were ushered into this lounge. This fella come in and said, whatever you saw was a weather effect.
And everything is deathly silent. There's no sea, there's no wind, there's no night noise, because, you know, there's foxes all over here. There's nothing.
Hello everybody, welcome to Truth Proof on a Sunday night. Hope you've all had a great weekend, and say it every week, don't I? I hope you're looking forward to Monday, but I don't think you will be, because it's work and we have to do it. Well, tonight I'm going to be speaking with Jack and Ian, who regularly spend time up, I don't know, around Eastern North Yorkshire with me and Pete and Chris Mack and other people. Hopefully Bob when he's feeling a little bit better. And obviously it's your show, we say it every week, so we want some questions in capital letters, and it doesn't have to be about the subject matter, but we're going to talk about what people call the hitchhiker effect, because all of us, to some degree or another, have taken something back with us. We believe we have, from that location. I prefer to call it, well, I don't call it anything. I think we're more like host victims. I don't think there's anything latching on to us. When they say hitchhiker effect, I think it's just a thought process away. And we'll get to some of that as we get into it. I'll just have a quick look at names, and then we'll get Jack and Ian in here, and they can give us their take on things as well. So we've got Margaret Webster, Gemma's doing moderating, Lee Roscoe doing moderating. Thanks, Lee. Gemma, I think Alison's in. Great to see you, Alison. Stan Smith, let's have a look. Tony Dixon, good to see you. Tony Sobercarper, Ian Langton. I think Mrs. Linney's in. Mia Girl's in. Zen's in. Thanks for support, mate. Clifftop Pete. He's all supporting us because Pete's all us up there with us. Justine, I'm not even going to say surname Justine because I'll end up saying it wrong. Fred Dog. Let's have a look. Ferrara, Robert Hilton. And we'll do a bit more as we get Studio 211. We'll Chris Mack as well. We'll do a bit more as we get into it, but we'll pull Ian in and Jack. How are you doing?
All right. Evening, everybody.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Jack, and you, Ian. And well, no doubt we'll be seeing you again probably tomorrow or one day in the week. But yeah, you heard me talking about that earlier, what we were going to touch on tonight. But it's up, capital letters, questions in caps, lead, and if somebody comes up with something different, it doesn't matter. But I don't know, you might be on same lines as me, thinking that it's a thought process away. You don't have to be. We know people talk about the hitchhiker effect. Do you think we're experiencing it to some degree or another up there?
I certainly do, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, most definitely. Whether it comes on with you or it's already there. At the end of the day, who's to know? We can just surmise, can't we? And we can try and get our heads around it. It just seems very coincidental that we're up there and we're experiencing strange things, not all the time, but on a reasonably regular basis. And then things seem to be happening more at home, whether it's because we're noticing it more, because in my case, it's nearly always been there. Something in some way, shape or form has always been there, but I think your senses are heightened, whether you're more aware or whatever the phenomena is more aware of you.
Do you know, I think he's onto something there, don't you, Jack?
Yeah, I do. I agree with that.
Because we are, I don't mean we're attuned to it and acutely aware of it, because I think everybody in chat that's looking at this, for the most part, have got an interest in Unexplained, and they've probably had more or less of an experience it to some degree than we have. So you guys will know all about it, and I think it's a good subject to talk about, even if we only do it for half an hour or if it runs to 2 hours. It's a good subject to talk about because something does interact, and and the strange, it's working from phone calls. I mean, I don't know how the phone calls and the strange voices and clicks, we're not imagining it. We don't think that we're in some kind of secret service and we're so important that people are listening in, but there's strange things happening. And I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. I know there's people in chat who've been up there and had strange occurrences. I mean, I've got a real quirky one. I'll let you jump in a minute before I do this. Have you what else to add to that before I just read this?
No, sorry, Jack, carry on.
No, it just, as far as the phone calls, I don't have any problem with you speaking to you on the phone, but I know when me and Chris Mack communicate, there's always a random beep that both of us can hear, and it's certainly not a notification on either's phone, but it's nearly every time I speak to Chris, something will happen. And I've no idea what it is.
No, go on, Ian.
All I was going to say is I really don't think what we're doing is that important. Where, I mean, the government or whatever are eavesdropping or whatever for us. I mean, we're not secret agents, are we?
We've not got big satellite dishes up on that hill, have we? Like 30 foot across, sticking into space, eavesdropping on things. We're just up there. We're hard-working blokes, to be honest. We're everyday people with as much tech as we can afford, trying to find some evidence of the unexplained.
That's right. We're not exactly sending it off to China or Russia or anywhere else. And at times we maybe are seeing, coming across and seeing things that military tech that we shouldn't be seeing, but we've no other way of saying exactly what it is. But there's nothing to say that something else, because going back donkey's years, I mean, from sort of like spiritualist sort of type of background, let's say, things are attracted to electrical items, switches, etc., lights, as far back as, from when electricity came along. So what's to say that they don't try and communicate or interfere with sometimes? Because let's face it, I mean, I'm not a massive phone fan, but some people, that's everything. The phone is everything. So it's the main communication thing. So does it tap into that and potentially try and communicate or interfere with it?
But you're saying there, Ian, and I don't mean you're setting it in stone, but you're saying, is it trying to communicate? I don't know what it's trying to do. I don't know if it's trying to understand us even, because it as Mark said, and we all know Mark, there's miles and miles of cliff top either side of us. There's the North Sea to the back of us or front and fields. Why here? Why is it choosing to visit us? And we are having an interaction with something. So it wants communication. And I've said lots and lots of times, what if some parts of it aren't actually that intelligent? And it's just like a dog, and you'd whistle it and it comes running up to you, wagging its tail, and you get a pat on head, and it doesn't really know why it's coming up, but it wants a bit of interaction. Bit of a sort of, I don't know, maybe a weak analogy, but everybody's assuming that this phenomena is ultra intelligent. What if it's ultra elusive, but parts of it aren't that intelligent, and they want to communicate with us but don't know how?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what Annie said, wasn't it?
Okay,
that'll stick in my mind. She said it wants to communicate, but it doesn't know how to. Well, and that will always stick in my head. How is that possible? And it's intriguing by all means. So, and the other thing we're talking about devices is, I know it's a classic, but we've all experienced where we've took a piece of kit out, what we know we've had fully charged, and they've drained, haven't we? We've all experienced that up there, without a shadow of a doubt. Something is affecting electronic devices. There's no doubt about it.
Well, Pete took his scope out. I don't know whether it was Wednesday or Friday, and it was flat. I'm sure it was Pete that took it out, and he said that were charged. It's anybody can look at us and think, oh, they're reading everything into everything, but you've actually got to be there. I mean, we're up there, and for the most part, there's not loads of things happening. But we've said it. I said it other day. We only need that little chink of something, and it builds energy. And it seems to ride off that, doesn't it? I think it does like human emotion and human energy, you know?
It's certainly like human emotion from from my own experiences with things. But just to clarify what Jack was saying about the lady called Annie, she comes across as a really good medium. Exactly what she'd call herself, I don't know. I don't think she professes to be anything that she is. I don't think she does sittings, and she maybe does do sittings. I don't know,
no, Ian, she doesn't.
She keeps herself to herself, as far as I know. But she was just rattling things off, on and on and on and on and on and on, and straight away there was no sort of like sat there giving it a real lot of thought and trying to think back on something. So she was just relaying things that a lot of what she said made sense to 3/4 of the people that was up there, and some of the things that she said she shouldn't have known, but we all had some experience of that. But she knew. I ain't saying that's 100% she was bang right, but the coincidence is it was too close to be wrong, let's say. And some of the things she was saying was absolutely bang right, and I think she was on the money.
What you touched on there as well, she literally, we asked her something or she asked a question of us and we gave her our answer. And like you said, there was no pause. It was like a machine gun just firing the sentences out. And she's saying there's something working through her, or she's working with something at the other side of the firewall. And it were fascinating. So, Annie, if you're listening to this, you're welcome up here anytime, you and Maeve. But not a medium who does the circuit or does sit-ins, just got this gift. And I think we were really fortunate for this lady to come up. And once again, absolutely. You two know this, it weren't all spirit related with Annie, were it?
No.
It was there was multiple things up there. I mean, what she said, there was multiple entities. There was some things, if I'm rightly believe it right, some things that had never actually walked the earth, that was there. Some things that came there to gather energy. There was things that was there that had walked the earth, but there was from lots of different time periods, from quite recent to very early, and sort of like all over a broad spectrum of, as obviously we've been, we've been on these, walking up and down these cliff tops for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. So there's multiple things. And she went on about all of them, and then different things from potentially different dimensions. And some of the things that she was saying was, you don't need to know that. Yeah, and we're like, what do you mean we don't need to know that? She says, well, my guide, because I asked her straight away, because I'm straight talking, I says, is this coming from a guide or is it coming from someone else? She says, it's coming from my guide. What this man's just asked me now, which I ain't going to say who it was, in the group, was asking different questions. And her guide was saying straight away, you don't need to know that. He doesn't need to know that. And neither do you, meaning Annie. So she said for him to, or her, or whatever it was, to come through to her, it had some meaning that there was something not nice that we certainly didn't want to know. And even it wouldn't let her know what it was.
I think it would, the way she was suggesting it, I think it would be detrimental to both sides. There's certain things, but I don't know. I've got a question here. Shall we put this question up?
Yep.
Let's have a look. Any hitchhiker effects recorded with time slips? Any reported time slips on the Yorkshire coast? Well, obviously, we said we'll run with anything, and we can run with this. And let's just talk about these anomalies with the phones, Ian. Yours, Jeremy's. I don't know whether Jax has done it.
No.
I mean, the people who's regular in the chat will have heard us say quite a few times in the past about the GPS anomalies. The GPS anomalies might be easily explainable, but in my layman's terms is, we go up and down the country, all over the place, here, there and everywhere, north, east, south and west. But it's reasonably reliable. But then we come away from up there, and it has us going all over the place. I mean, the last time anything of any significance was only 2 weeks ago. We've been up there, and I think you was driving, Paul. was talking like we usually do, but was actually filming on the way back because of things that's happened going and things that's happened coming back that we're only relying on the dash cam in my vehicle picking up, was starting recording. You know what I mean? With your Psionics or my, you know what I mean, DJI, etc. But then only a couple of weeks ago, as soon as I come home, I check my check my GPS. Our journey, it's about 4 miles home. It started bang on 2 miles. So 2 miles of our journey was missing. And it started near the camp, right at the entrance to where Mark works. And then everything was fine. You could zoom in on it. You could see every little turn in the road, the speed, everything. Why would it suddenly start doing it? There's 2 miles of the journey missing. And it's always in the, I mean, what's that all about?
And I think it was Jeremy's that showed him out at sea, weren't it?
It did, because you started calling him Jesus.
Yeah.
And he was, I'd gone inland 4 or 5 miles or whatever it was in a straight line and come back at a strange direction. And that happened quite a few times. But oddly enough, I think I've sent the screen captures of that to you, Paul. On some of the occasions, it had taken me to Newsom Hill. It had gone from the cliffs to Newsom Hill. And because Pete lives there, I said, what's behind there? Is there anything behind there? And there's nothing there. Absolutely.
There's a medieval village, or there's remnants of a medieval village around there, isn't there? But interesting, Ian's just talked about Newsom Hill, and I haven't got the footage to show, and I know you guys will have seen it probably 5 or 6 times, but that's where we've had the flashes of light, Newsom Hill, as we're going towards Newsom Hill, which is interesting in itself. But
it's a strange one, that why it take us there. I mean, my meaning by saying what's behind there is, Pete might say, yeah, there's a radio mast there, there's a telecommunications mast there, but there's nothing. There's nothing there. So why it suddenly should start there, and then it don't do it for weeks, months on end. And then one particular time, I followed Jeremy. I did go out to sea, and I finished up going into the cafe at not Caton Bay. Anyway, doesn't matter. The other one, can't think of it now.
But the point is, you've not done any of these journeys, but it's depicting it. These glitches are interesting because you use different phone trackers, don't you?
Yeah, so they're all. I mean, I ain't going to say which phone tracker it is because I don't think that's fair. But yeah, no. Jeremy's GPS system was different to mine, and it had us. I mean, he travels a lot more than I do now. I mean, I don't really travel that far anymore. But he's up and down the country all the time, and Jeremy has said on many occasions it's only there that it starts to play.
He's not having these malfunctions, is he? Just see what this is a question as such. I've just started reading. Yeah, go on, Jack. Go on.
Just put in, if just a few weeks ago, if you remember, I was speaking to you guys about the additional heat signatures you're seeing on the cliffs with through thermals, and the guys using their visual aids, their eyes, they then see an additional torchlight to the one that has the original one. Could that be another time slip? Are you actually seeing the same person time slipped behind who it is? It is. It's the same person, but you've seen him twice. Because that makes more sense. It doesn't make any sense, but it makes more sense than anything I can think of.
It's an odd one. I mean, I wouldn't go. Well, great for suggesting it. I wouldn't sort of run with it myself, but because I just don't know. But it's worth suggesting.
I don't know, but you're
right. It's interesting because everybody's listened to us talking about the strangeness up there, and the fact is, and it is an actual fact that we've seen 2 heat signatures, 2 people, slightly behind the other one, but we're not talking hundreds of yards. We're talking like 10, 20 feet. There's 2. And only one arrives, and that one that arrives says there were nobody with him. So that's odd in itself. And then we see 2 torches, and one arrives. And so I get what you're saying there, Jack. You know what it is interesting. I haven't got it to hand, but there's a guy who went walking towards Speeton, and when he came back, he couldn't understand it because he said it took him about 4 hours to get back. He were really upset and confused. I'll have to find that out. And that's only 2024, 2023, 24 account. I thought he got some missing time. So Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll just put this up. I don't think it's a question. I've just started reading TP1 better because I visualize the area through the work and the shorts and the podcast. Thank you, Martin. Let's just see if there's any more. I see Nigel Logan's in. Are you in, Nigel? Yeah, I think sure. So Nigel Space Cow. Rod, let's do this because we like Rod's thumbnail, don't we? Do you believe the phenomena is proactive or reactive? The hitchhiker would suggest proactive. It reacts. I think it reacts to certain types of humour. The phenomena, not necessarily the hitchhiker. It definitely reacts to certain types of humour. We, Rod, would love to know the ingredients that got what we've called the visitation. We would love to know what we did right that particular night, because it's not happened since. Well, it happened a couple of flashes since, but not like we had that probably a few months ago. What do you think?
Yeah, there's been nothing as significant regarding that light, whatever that light was, which was absolutely fantastic. Because I mean, there's 3 of us here that actually witnessed it, and it was absolutely fantastic. And people in the chat will have heard us say it many times. There's only one thing that we've sort of like got between us all is prior to it happening, we'd all been talking about somebody.
Oh, you better not say his name.
I'm not going to say his name, but it was prolific, and he's going down in history as an awful person. And we've been talking about this person and other people who's sort of like in his circle, let's
Similar
say.
kind of theme, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and then bang, this happened. But you know what I mean, you've mentioned it now because people will say, but you know what I mean, different equipment. We've had multiple EMF meters out, and they'll be there for, I don't know, an hour and a half, nothing. There's nothing. They're dead quiet. And then someone mentions some form of dark humor. What I'm saying is dark humor, not evil stuff. Blokes messing about, you know what I mean, passing the time away, let's say. And then it reacts. And then they both react. All 3 of them react. And we're all getting readings.
But is it reacting? And I hope we're not boring you guys in chat. And Nigel Logan, good to see you, Nigel. I hope we're not boring you guys in chat, because it's almost like we're talking amongst ourselves here, and we're going to get to some questions. But is it reacting to what we're talking about, or is it reacting to the mood and the vibe we're giving off? That's to me, that's probably what it's doing. Do you know what I mean? The energy that we're portraying and firing out based on what we're talking about, and maybe the subject matter is not. It's interest.
I think you really could be onto something like that, because I hadn't really thought of that. So if someone said some really, let's say, innocent, clean jokes, and we all started laughing about it, would we get the same reaction from the EMF meters and the tri-field meters, etc.? We maybe would. So I think the laughter and the humour could, you know what I mean, it's attract it in some way, shape, or form. Who's to know?
I see Daniel's asked me, I've had any more thoughts. I'll speak to you, Daniel, in week when, because obviously I can't really start going on with that today, mate, but I will do. Let's have a look. Do you all think the phenomena meant humanity any harm? We wouldn't be here discussing it, given the thousands of years of sightings. Yeah, good question. I don't know, Matthew. I think it might want adoration. It might want worship. I don't know.
It might just want to be seen and acknowledged. You know.
But I suppose we've got the question we've got to ask is it phenomena or phenomenon? Is it one singular source or is it many? Because if it's many, all utilising, I don't know, an area, say, such as like this East Coast, where there must be some way that they can break through. Or there might not be any way. It might just be something they can do wherever they want. But they might all want different things from humanity, and some of them might not want anything from humanity. They might not. They might not even consider us any more than they consider a blade of grass. You know, they might have their agenda and what they've got to go about doing, and that's why when we stumble upon a UFO, these things just sort of zip away into distance. Do you know what I mean? We'll go, Christ, it's them again. We don't want to do with them. But I don't know. It's difficult to say, Matthew, but it's a good one. It's a good question. What do you guys think?
I think it's phenomenon rather than phenomena. That's just my opinion. I don't know about you, Ian.
I agree with you, Jack. I think there's got to be multiples. There really has got to be multiples. That's only my 10 pence worth. Again, it's one of them things, isn't it? We're not an expert. We're just trying to guess on it.
Well, that's the thing as well, and everybody in chat's looking for answers. We're looking for answers, and there's too many citizen scientists out there who talk with scientific terminology, and true scientists and academics can see through it. They can realise that they're absolutely talking BS. Ufologists and people talking about, I don't know, spirit and cryptids. Trying to talk in scientific terms when we're not qualified to do that. We're qualified to talk about what we think and what we see and what we experience. But if we've got no scientific knowledge, I don't think we should start talking about it. And there's too many people doing that, and people just open mouth listening to them, thinking that they're listening to some kind of doctor of science talking. And in actual fact, they're not. They're talking to somebody who's probably got a little bit of knowledge, but more knowledge than the average person. And then jump into science. Let's just get to science. I don't think science has got a grip on what's happening either. I just think that as researchers, people, not you guys, or maybe not people in chat, but people should stop talking in scientific terms unless they're qualified to do so. Because I think that puts the scientific and the academic community off us, because they realise that, listen to this amateurish. I mean, I'll talk in terms that I understand and put it out to you and hold my hand up and said, I haven't got a clue what's going off. And I think if people were really honest, a lot of people, even academia and science, would be saying, we don't understand it. We I don't know. Went off on one there, didn't we? Or I did. But
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I did. Let's have a look. See if there's any more.
I don't know any big words.
Oh, you do. You do. I've heard you say big words. Yeah. Let's have a look. Paul, I'm seeing most weird, beautiful, freaky stuff I've had, and still seeing most weird, beautiful stuff. Not once felt in danger. I've seen things that would give some people heart attacks. Got loads on film. Inches and feet from camera. Well, that's interesting. You could send us some footage if you wanted, and we could have a look at it. And I'm not saying it's not amazing, because it might be. Sometimes we get photographs of, I don't know, they've all been pixelated and blown up, and we're looking for faces in photographs and things, and there genuinely could be a face, but a lot of times I can't see them, and you end up insulting somebody, but because you're saying, I can't see it. These might be brilliant. Send them in. Let's have a look. We've got a bit of footage, Jack, haven't we?
We have. Yeah.
In your home. Do you want to explain a bit of it?
Yeah, absolutely. We've not long since moved into the area, and my wife Barbara always sensed something here. So she's been asking me to get an internal camera.
Excuse me.
And then in New Year, my daughter and the grandson came, and they were visibly frightened to go into the back bedroom. And for a number of years, we've got a passive infrared light that lights up when you go to the loo. Just a little bulb, and it goes on and off. And it's worked fine for years. And then all of a sudden, through underneath the bedroom door, you could see it coming on and off. And it would be going on and off all night long.
And this is when there's just two of you in the house. The kids have gone.
Just the two of us in the house. And then when my daughter come up, she spotted it, because she's got one as well that only goes off when it's a passive sensor. So that frightened her, and it was going off all night long. So we've removed it now. So I bought a camera, and I bought two. We got one on the landing and one in the bedroom. And some of the images and flashes of light that they pick up is outrageous. It's crazy. I understand dust, and I know dust happens, and I know how sometimes moves about, but there's odd ones. I saw one, for instance, go down the stairs the other day, and it went off camera, and then all of a sudden it came back onto camera, but only just as if it was peeking at the camera and then just disappeared. It didn't come shooting past the camera again. It literally just appeared at the bottom of the screen and then went. But the one just 2 nights ago, I think, which is what you've got, is there was all of a sudden some flashes of light in the corner of the room. It was going crazy.
Is this the bedroom?
The bedroom, yeah. Like a proper electrical flashes. We both in bed. I don't even think we've fallen asleep at this point. We're just getting, just laid down. So Barbara showed me the next day. I watched it, and I thought perhaps it's Barbara's mobile phone because it's always on the bedside table. So what I did, I put it back on in the same place it always is, where it plugs in, and it might move a little inch here, a little inch there, but basically it's the same place. So I phoned the phone, got the camera set up, phoned the phone, and it's similar but not the same. But you can certainly hear the phone ring on the test case. On the original one at night time, there was no phone ringing. There was no calls into the phone, nothing at all. And yet here we are both lying next to it, and this thing's flashing away, and we weren't woken up by it or anything. So it's probably the phone, but I don't understand how it did it with no incoming call.
Okay, well, you sent me that today, and I think you've explained that well. So I'm going to play the first part where there's the flashes in the bedroom, for you guys watching this. The next one is Jack's test, and then there's 3 bits of film, and the last one is just the first one played again, so you guys can see. So as you've just heard, Jack said there's no record of a phone call, there's no ringtone to the first one and the last one, and the test is in the middle. So we'll play this now.
Can I just point? So when I'm on the cliffs, which was a cliff night, Barbara always makes sure her phone ringer is on in case I ring her or anything like that. So there's no way the phone ringer would be off because it's on when it's a cliff night. So
that well pointed out, Jack. Let's just play this then. Okay, hardly the smoking gun of ufology, just like with my footage and everybody else's. But it's just confusing. And somebody in chat, and we'll probably not get to their answer, may have an answer for this. I mean, but I don't know.
But yet again, it's a mobile device, isn't it? It's a device that, for some reason, listen. If it had a number, Joe Bloggs rang or whoever rang at 23:45, case closed, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But there's nothing. There's just nothing on that phone at all. So,
So what you said earlier on, Jack, sorry to cut in there, what you said earlier on about when it went down the stairs, I mean, you showed me that bit of footage. What you're describing, it's like a small ball of light that goes down the stairs and it comes up, and at the bottom. Well, so when you're saying peeping, it's like just a small bit of light that's just there at the bottom of the screen. Then it goes.
Yeah, it comes back up onto the screen. It doesn't go shooting by like a bit of fluff or a bit of dust would probably.
Yeah.
It just fractionally you can see it, and then it just disappears.
I don't think I've got that one, Jack, have I? But I've got a selection of stills that Jack sent me, and I've put them together, guys. And the original, then I've blown them up so you can get an idea. And certainly, I think the first one could be dust flying fast past. But the others, they're quite intriguing. So do you want to play them now? Shall we go with them now?
Yeah, so you've got 2 types. You've got what may or may not be dust that shoots by at a rapid speed. But you've also got the lights a visible light that will appear in a darkened room. One on the mirror, one on the side of the cupboard, and one just a bit lower. It's a visible light. You see it come on, and there's no explanation for that, the light in that dark room.
I'll tell you what's fascinating about those. When I looked at those, Jack, they're all in a similar place in that room as well.
Yeah, they are.
They're all in a similar place in that darkened room.
Yeah.
Before I play, any thoughts on this, Ian, or shall I just play this?
No, just play it, because I've seen little bits of it. Jack showed us on the on the cliff tops.
Like I said, I've split them up, so each photograph's got the original, and then I've blown them up so you can get an idea. Look at the arrow. Yeah. See that movement there? And I think that's about it with them.
Yeah, that's it. I have the ones that were too late for the putting it onto the program tonight. Is there was it was like a little butterfly that we caught the other night, and it was a blinking light, very small, and it would literally, it was like as if you were watching an aircraft. It came from behind the curtainish down. And then it was blinking off, and then it went up onto the wardrobe and then disappeared. I mean, that's different from a ball of fluff moving about in one single shape. That was physically flashing on and off. So
it's interesting, Jack. We'll get to see if there's any more questions. I just put this up because enjoyed Linny's talk at the conference, Paranormal Coffee Lounge. That's Terry. Thanks, Terry. I think it were a great talk. So, yeah, superb. Watched it Monday. So, excellent. Let's just go down a little bit and let's have a look. I'm just clicking these on, but I think Gemma or Lee or Alison will vet them if there's untoward, because I think most people who are interested in the subject want something more in their life. The question is, does this make these people more willing to believe or susceptible to an experience? That's a great question. Yeah, but it's a great question, but then I'd say that I think everybody, I'd throw that net out fully. Everybody at some point in their life experiences something, and you do get something. 5953. You do get some people who actually see something that's profound, but then say the most incredibly stupid thing, like, "Yeah, I did see it, but I don't believe in it like that." And you think, "Oh, well, how does that work?" And I've heard people say it. I don't believe in things like that. But I think it's a great question. Are some people more willing? Yeah, just one person's proof is another person's load of rubbish. I agree with you there. We've all got different levels of proof and what we see as good evidence. Spot on. Any views?
I think some people are really, really wanting to see something. And then people will turn up on the cliff tops and say, "I've wanted to see stuff for years and I've never seen anything. And I've been up here, never seen anything." And they're really, really wanting to see things.
Mm.
Can you be wanting to see things too much? Yeah. I mean, if that makes sense. You're trying too hard, and then something just happens. I mean, yeah, look at us. I mean, we're in some cases fortunate enough to see a lot of things, and sometimes unfortunate enough to see things, and then other people are just wanting to see it, or you can really want to see too much and never see anything, and it's a shame for them. I mean, if they're really sort of like engrossed in the subject, let's say, and come away saying, "Well, I mean, I've been here, I've been there, I've been all over to all these top places and all these ghost walks and never seen anything."
Well, there were a guy came up, an American came up probably 3 or 4 years ago, and he'd been to a lot of the places all around the world. Just to name two, he'd been to Skinwalker, he'd been to the what I'm always on about, the Hoya Baku Forest. He'd been all over, and he came to Bempton, and he said the only place he'd had an experience was Bempton. He'd experienced nothing at Skinwalker, absolutely nothing, and that doesn't mean that this one's better. It's not a game, but he said he'd not experienced anything. And his experience at Bempton was he were going back to where he was staying at Flamborough, walking along the cliff tops during the night, and it's not a profound experience. He got to the north side of Danes Dyke. Jack and Ian know exactly where we're going. He's got to about there, just before it, I think. He said, and suddenly, as he's walking, he becomes aware of an acute buzzing, or shrill sound. It doesn't seem to be audible, but it is in his ear. He can't, if it makes sense, you know what I mean? He's hearing it inside his head more than he's hearing it outside. And he walked into it and stopped and could hear it, stepped back, and it were gone. So it's almost like it's some kind of directed energy, I don't know.
Energy, yeah.
Walked through it and it stopped. Stepped backwards and it were there. That's the only experience. We know, and I realize some people won't know, but there's nothing there. North Sea to the left, farmland to the right, and up into space. There's nothing. There's no telegraph mast. There's no lights. There's no properties. There's one farm, and me and Ian know farmer. We know lad who owns farmhouse, and he's about half a mile away, and that stands on its own. And he's not going to have out by our sheep on farms. There's nothing going to make that noise. So that's once again, what are we looking for when it comes to proof of something? He can't prove any of that. Most of what you've seen, Ian, you can't prove none of it. Jack can't prove none of it. I can't. We've got some great footage. We've got to admit that. There's some interesting footage, but do we know what it is? No.
No, not at all.
I mean, most of it is just us saying in it that, that we've felt something, we've seen something, we've heard something, we've experienced something. But it's only us. I mean, only sort of the last significant thing that I had was only a couple of weeks ago. You was on the top stand. You was filming that chap called Ian, who'd had the experience in the 1970s.
Yeah.
He was sat on a bench, and I'd said to you, "Do you want me to take the camera and film you while you're talking to him?" And you says, "No, it's all right, because Mark's going to talk to him and he's going to explain to Mark what he'd seen." So we just stood there watching. You're to the left, Mark's to the right, talking to this fellow who's right in front of me. We're just there listening. Jack and Chris Mackey stood behind me. 3/4 of the way through the conversation, I felt my coat tugged down, and then somewhat like, to me, it was like a small hand gripping the bottom of the hem of the coat and go around the rim of my coat. And I looked down and there's nothing there. And I looked at Jack and Chris.
Yeah.
And because you was filming, I looked at him and I just, like, Jack, I remember, I was like, "Do one of you just touch me?" No. So I went, tell you in a minute. And then when you finished filming, I mentioned to, could speak to Jack out loud and Chris. And Chris Mack said, "I heard it," which vindicated me because I'd felt it, but Chris also heard it running down the material of my coat. Something, shh. So he heard it, did Chris?
I remember him saying it after we'd finished filming, yeah.
Yeah, even though I knew I felt it, it just makes you feel that much better when you're vindicated. It's not in your head. We aren't all going daft and having episodes.
There's a group of people up here, Ian, that are, as a collective, we're up there quite regular. And Bob used to come up a lot. Me and Steve Ashbridge were there a lot, and Kez and a few other people. But what I like about it is there's other groups of people on those cliff tops. So if we're just a group of fantasists, I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but then how does it explain decades and decades and decades, and I'm going back 50 and 60 years of rock anglers seeing strange lights and hearing strange voices, and that's the story, and not off every one of them, but off a lot of them that we get. And so are they deluded as well? The only reason that's gone under the radar is these guys are a bit like mining communities. They're just quite secular and keep themselves to themselves. You've heard Andy Barnby. And he said, like at Clubhouse, he says, we talk about it. We talk about the things we've seen. And lads will come and say they've seen this or they've experienced this. So, and I've asked them to talk to you, but they just won't. They keep themselves to themselves. And
it stays in their circle of
yeah. Absolutely.
Circle of comfort. I mean, while we're on about that, I mean, on Friday was, it was reasonably windy. The sea was rough. We stood in a slightly different place because we're a little bit homeless at the moment because there's a lot of work going on up there. So we're wandering about. And anyway, we stood in a certain place trying to keep out the wind, let's say. And while we stood there talking, it felt flat. It didn't feel like anything was going to happen, to be fair. And out the darkness, I saw this white thing come out the darkness, come along through that dip, and then disappear, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 feet away from where we stood. And it was sizable, and I'm like, I knew I'd definitely seen it. So I shouted out to you, had anybody else seen it? Nobody saw it. So Jack's got a camera facing in that particular direction. So I'm stood there and I'm saying, right, well, it went along here. It could have been something else. It could have been a feather. It wasn't a glowing light, but there was something white. So I'm stood there and I knew I'd seen it. So I'm looking into the darkness and I could see something on the field that was slightly white. So Chris Mack turned his head torch on and there was something there white. When I marched up to it and got up to it, it was a blob about that big of white sea foam that had obviously, because the sea's rough, it had come up 300 foot of cliffs and then blown quite a few hundred yards, 300-400 feet inland to where we was. So we could have easily jumped up and down and made it out there was something
that they weren't.
But we debunked. I mean, it was debunked, so we knew what it was. I mean, I used to think sea foam would, in such a big blob, would get so high up them cliffs.
But it does. It come over the top. We've seen. Listen, if anybody doesn't believe this, I will definitely put the footage on next time Jack and Ian are on. I'm only saying that I could put it on next week if they're not on. But I'll remember we've seen what looks like rain going uphill. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that was really good. Was that? I just stood right near the edge. Was on the top stand, and when I stood right on the edge, I was getting wet, and it was like raining. And then you stood back. I know rain has to stop and start somewhere. So stepping forward, stepping back, and I thought, the bloody hell's that? So I turned my torch on, and it's the sea was that rough, but the updraft from the bottom of the cliffs was sending the sea straight up into the sky. So it was like a wall of upside down rain, wasn't it?
And we filmed it. It looks great, actually, doesn't it? It's strange, isn't it? Because you just get that influence of it going uphill. It's really odd. But just before we go on, I see you're in, Laura, and I didn't. If you've sent me that question, I'm not going to get to it. So my daughter Laura's in. So sorry about that, Laura. But and I see Deb Shaw's in. I've seen Andrew. God's in. Hi, God. See Gemma's saying so. Oh, God, not God, is it? Dr. Tanian. Let's have a look at this. Have we done this one? Right. Have you any thoughts as to why Bempton attracts such activity, or do you think it's going on everywhere, but not everyone is outside looking on a regular basis? What do you reckon?
Personally, I think there's something really strange happening in that area. You can go inland, you can go further down the coast, you can go further up the coast. Yeah, occasionally things will happen in these other areas, but there's just been that much happening in them areas. I mean, I used to spend a lot of time in the wilds outside. Yeah, things have happened, but nowhere near like what's been happening there, and for multiple people over multiple years. For some reason, it's just a strange area.
And I do think that we are perhaps highlighting it now because we know, obviously, there's a bird reserve there. It's RSPB, and in the daytime and in summer months, it's teeming with people, and rightly so, looking at these incredible seabirds, seabird colonies. But even in summer months, once that darkness falls, there's nobody there. And can you imagine what it was like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago? It would have been even more remote. And that's why this stuff, because it likes seclusion, whatever it is that we're dealing with. It seems it might gravitate to a bunch of people stood there, as Mark says, why here when there's all this area, but it does seem to like seclusion, you know.
Even throughout the height of summer, when that sun goes down, there's not many occasions up there where it's not chilly or bloody freezing. I mean, what was you like last week, Jack? Up there,
freezing last week.
The cold. You got some new boats, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
That's why I mentioned it.
But I take something from what he's saying in with this question, though, because if we set off on what people call hitchhiker effect, then obviously most people's homes, or majority of people's homes, aren't that active with strange phenomena. Yet they're visiting these areas, and suddenly you're switching the phenomena on, and you're getting this strangeness in and around your home. And it not only that, it kind of gravitates to relatives and other places that you visit. So in effect, it could be anywhere, couldn't it? It might actually have strongholds in certain locations, but it could be anywhere. But I still think it's about all about the mind, you know, and how we tap into it.
Yeah, possible.
Okay, let's just hide that. We'll go down a little bit. Let's just see. What's this about Jack? Exactly, Jack. That's what I was thinking. Now I'm not sure what it relates to. Does anybody think they know? No. Okay. Studio 211. But sorry about that, mate. Have any of you used a traditional compass on the cliffs to see if it's affected? Yeah, we've taken compasses up there, Ian, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I finished up. Well, I'd always had a couple of little compasses anyway, but one particular stand we used to get a really, really strange anomalies up there with the compasses. So what I finished up doing is I took not like the one. I mean, I'm talking of a compass about this big, a bosun's compass. So Paul bought this. Paul,
we were thinking,
he attempted to buy the same thing. Anyway,
well, it showed it, but I think they'd put it in the hands of an action man, and so it looked huge.
So when this so anyway, I'm not a fisherman, but this is my compass, right? It's a bosun's compass from a boat. And then Paul,
hey, you're a typical fisherman because it's not that big. Did you see him then?
Well, it was. Anyway, it's massive. So then Paul got this little action man type of compass. So we set these compasses up in various different places on the cliff tops, and it was going all over the place. And then we tracked it down on this particular area in a decking where we'd been, where for whatever reason, unbeknownst to us at the time, the compasses was just going daft. North was south, south was west. It was all moving all the time. So we scratted around, and eventually we found that there's some steelwork underneath this particular decking that was stood on. There was an RSJ that was holding up a lot of this decking. That's how it had been constructed. So we debunked that. We moved away from it. Everything was fine. So yeah, the traditional compasses, as well as the compass on your phone, on your GPS, on our psionics,
EMF meters, it would have affected everything, wouldn't it?
They'd play up in that particular area, but a little bit further along on the cliff tops where there's nothing but mud and chalk underneath you. Sometimes there was playing up there. I mean, my psionics was showing north as south, like I've just said, and then it wouldn't do it again, and it. You know what I mean? So for some period of time, we was taking various compasses up there, or little tiny compasses up there. Sorry, Paul.
No, don't be sorry. It was true. I thought, honestly, it's kind of mis-selling, really, because it showed this big compass and it weren't. It's funny because there's a fisherman, actually, or a retired fisherman, if you're listening, we'll have it. He's offered to give me his big boat compass. Yeah, so, yeah, it'd be bigger than that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, be like that fish you caught, Ian. Right. Believe it's your combined energies attracting such. Ian would know from his spiritual background. You are all alight. The beings are drawn to you as a moth to a flame. Oh, thank you. But I suppose, I mean, you've got the light and the dark. I mean, you could attract you know, even if you're a good, all with good intentions and a good-hearted soul, you could find that you're involved with the wrong things up there as well. You know.
Yeah.
We don't do anything particularly dark up there. We don't try and attract anything like that, you know. And that's not what this guy's saying anyway.
I mean, there's I ain't going to say what it is because he might be in the chat and he'll know what I'm talking about anyway. But someone he used to, from time to time, deliberately mention a form of communication which I've never, and I'll never will have anything to do with it. And I think that's the same to you, Paul. But he used to deliberately say that because he always knew what my reaction would be. You bring that up in here and you can off. And if you carry on bringing it up here, I won't be coming back up here. So, yeah, you reap what you sow, don't you? But I've never gone up there looking for anything dark. I've never really gone up there fully open, let's say, because personally, I just think it's potentially a gateway that it's just good. You're not going to let one horse out the shed. Everything's going to come out. That's what I mean.
It's fascinating because I know we talked about it a few weeks ago, but that I can't remember his name. I think his wife was called Sam, and he came up not really a believer in any of this. His wife were interested in the phenomena, and he saw that shadow of something. That's what he said. He said it was just a big shadow of something. He didn't talk about broad shoulders or anything. Just a big lump that came up along in the darkness, and he'd noticed it. But what were interesting then, I think it was a few nights later, their son told mum and dad, who was not a young lad, a young 20s or whatever, that he'd seen a figure on the roof of the buildings opposite at home that night. Is that to do with that? Do you know what I mean? And then if you remember, and I ain't got it to hand, but I talked about the guy who'd seen that figure squatted on the roof years ago as a young man. He got up in night and he were looking at it, and it walked along the roof and then came up to the window and looked at him. It's a long drawn out story, so I'll not go into it. But what I'm getting at is reviving the phenomena. He told me that once he'd started thinking about it and getting to grips with it and writing about it, he felt like he'd woke it up. He felt like it was there. And that's where I'm going with the thought process, away from connecting with the phenomena again. Do you see?
I mean, I've heard many accounts from you where people are talking to you and saying that they are genuinely scared of mentioning things too much. Like you say, it becomes real, and they're worried that whatever they're thinking about then can come back. I mean, that story what you're just talking about then, if I remember rightly, didn't he saw it go down the wall, crawl down the wrong way down the gable end of an house.
Yeah, and then he climbed into a cherry blossom tree.
Climbed into a small tree, looked at him, and then it came out the tree, and he came away. And when he looked at the window, it was there.
Yeah,
and he could see its breath on the window.
Yeah, he could see its breath. So he says, and he sounded. I mean, I spoke to him. I didn't just do an email. Speak to these people, but he did say when I was walking and I started thinking about it and putting it together, and felt like I'd woke it up. I don't think they were his exact words, connected with it. I don't know what they were, but you guys are getting the gist of what I'm talking about. And it's fascinating. Somebody emailed me other day and said, I've got some things that I want to share with you, but I'm frightened because he didn't say wake them up. He says, because I don't want to stir it up again. And I respect that. And I think if you're in that mindset, you know, if you're out there listening to it now, don't write to me. If that's how it's going to make you feel, I'd sooner not know that information and you feel more comfortable in your skin than sharing it with me so I can put it out to you guys. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is also on the flip side of that is sometimes, Paul, you know what I mean? I don't think you're doing it deliberately, but for some people, you're like a bit of a therapist because people are telling you stories that are getting it off the chest and they feel better for it. I mean, the amount of people that turn up on the cliffs that tell us little stories of things that's happened to him in their childhood, and they say, I've never really spoke about this before, but I feel comfortable in us, as in the people who's on the cliff tops, the team. I feel comfortable in your presence, and I don't, you know what I mean? I feel more pleased with myself actually talking about it out loud.
Do you know,
we had some people come up this week, didn't we? They'd come from Cornwall, hadn't they?
Cornwall, yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because like I've just said, if you did have a story, I'm not repeat it too much, and you thought it was going to make you feel uncomfortable, then don't share it. Stay just observing and passing comments however you want it. But Ian's correct. All of us, we've spoke to people as a collective and as singularly, and they've said, I feel so much better talking about this and sharing it. And if all you are is an ear and you're never going to do anything with it, I'll tell you this, but I don't want it going any further. That's good enough. Because to me,
then it don't go any further, does it? You don't put it on your podcast or write about it or whatever. If that's their story, that's their story.
Yeah,
there's loads. I bet you I speak to 3 or 4 people a day, definitely during the week. And sometimes, and this isn't me being awful, but I look at things and I think, oh God, I've got to do that. So you've got 5 or 6 emails to do, and I'm not fastest at typing, but you think that, I don't know, there's an hour and a half of my time gone. And then I've got to make that phone call. There's at least 20 minutes, and then there's another 20 minutes, and it eats into your day. And everybody wants a little part of it. But hey, hands up! I'm happy to be sharing information with you guys and receiving information. There were years and years when I rang at the ILF UFO website, 2002ish to whenever 9. That I loved it when an email came in because I only got like one a month or one every. Do you know what I mean? So it was great. But now, be careful what you wish for. There's loads, and I've seen some questions in chat, and I'm not deliberately ignoring you. I know somebody said I sent you a screenshot of a flying Toblerone. It sounds like Mary that throwing it at me across the room because I've been greedy or something. I don't know, but I'll get to all that. Honestly, we'll get to it. Where are we going now, then, guys? Let's have a look. Another question. It's great when these questions come in. Off license, yeah, sounds like a plan. It's like casualty breaks down in certain areas. It might not necessarily be an entity, but a real physical effect, i.e. quantum mechanics. Okay, over my head, to be honest, off license, quantum mechanics. But
I think the only way I can say that is who's to know? It could be. I don't know anything about quantum mechanics, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
who's to say? Who's to say?
Well, that's where I'm glad that you've said that, and I don't know if Jack does. And it's better to say you don't know than to try and talk in scientific terms, because, like we've said, like we touched on earlier, men of science and academia who might have a slight interest in this wouldn't automatically be put off by thinking, listen to them lot talking as though they know what they're on about, and I don't,
I don't.
No, it's but that's horses for courses.
I mean, you two have heard this quite a few times, but I'm not going to say it, because it's swearing. But the majority of people will get it. Quantum mechanics aside, all the rest of it, will say something, and it's usually me. I'll shout out, "What the was that?"
Flipping heck, well, that, yeah, I know you do, yeah.
And it's, I mean, sometimes you do swear, Jack, and so does Paul. But yeah, to me, that's the easiest way of describing it. I don't try and come out with, you know what I mean? It was this, it was that, it was this, it was that. Because end of the day, we don't know, do we?
But I do think there's a place for everything. I think there's a place for us all in this. And I really believe that science, and I think, doesn't know that much more about what's going on than we do. And I don't mean the people at Bempton. I mean UFO researchers, cryptid researchers as a whole. There'll be some people that are in the know about certain parts of it, but I don't think they've got an handle on it. If they had, we'd have been closed down a long time ago. And I mean closed down as in all the explanations and everything would have been out there, and there'd have been no need for us trying to fathom out what this is. Because let's just cast our mind back 30, 40, 50 years and look at the explanations that they were giving for UFOs. They're the same UFOs, but those explanations don't stand anymore.
Yeah.
So they've come up with different batches every couple of decades or every decade, because they've got to think of something new to try and explain these things away. What we're up with, swamp gas and weather balloons. Why aren't we using them anymore? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult, isn't it? And it must be frustrating for science or men of science not being able to explain it, or coming up with explanations for Paul's sighting, Ian's sighting, Jack's sighting, people in chat, and then thinking they've cracked it, and then they're just queuing up at the door to give more reports out. Not us, people. There's just non-stop. It's just a gradual snowball that's building and building. And to me, there's the momentum for the subject is getting bigger and bigger. There's a far more people being accepting of the strangeness now than ever before.
I mean, could you imagine a man of science among his peers, someone asking him a question and he turns around and says, I ain't got a clue. It's going to make him look silly. So I think they try and make things up to fit in, to fill a narrative, let's say. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you've got an expert on and you say, I ain't a clue.
Yeah, or avoid the subject completely.
Yeah,
just talk about something else, won't they?
But within their group, there will be groups of people that'll talk about it internally and never externally for fear of losing funding or losing respect with their peers. But I mean, one of the favourite guests we've had on here for me is Anona Blackwell. You know, Dr. Anona, and how open to say that she saw spirit. I mean, this is a really highly educated lady, and she was just speaking it from the heart. But then talking about eminent surgeons who were still practicing, who in private were talking to her about seeing unusual things and spirit, where they'd never share that with the populace. So how much of it goes on? I mean, incidentally, in a few weeks, I'll be talking to hopefully talking to John Priestland from Unhidden, and he'll be coming on live stream, and I'm really looking forward to that. And he's got some incredible work that they're doing with doctors and physicists and people. So if you want to know what he's about, go on to Jeremy Corbell's and George Knapp's Weaponized and look at him on there, and so then you'll get an idea. Then get some questions ready.
You see, the other thing, Paul, was talking earlier on. What about Dave? I mean, Dave's he's a deep academic, isn't he? Is Dave?
Oh, yeah. So Dave's been on Clifftops, an highly qualified academic, and he had a strange experience up there. Do you want me to read this? Because I don't. It's a bit. It's not hard going, but I don't want to wear people down with it. But I can do if you want.
I just think while we're talking about clever people, academics and the likes, I think it's, I mean, it might be fitting to put that in.
Well, he's all over the world working. We know there's loads of people all over the world working, but this, like he said, is a sort of quite distinct and eminent, this fella. So I visited Bempton, 19th to the 23rd, 2024 in December. It's my 6th visit and my wife's 2nd visit. On the first night, we arrived in Bridlington and we went out to eat at the Chinese restaurant called Yips. Now, you're going to have to bear with me, people. It's not Jack and Ori, but I'm going to do it all. So they know me well as I speak Chinese every time I visit, so I've become quite friendly. It was a cold night, so we both wrapped up in winter scarves, gloves and hats. The next morning, the missus tells me she cannot find her scarf. A silky sky blue scarf made in Japan. We looked everywhere in the hotel room for it, but it's a small room and we realised that after a couple of minutes, it couldn't be there. She must have lost it. We probably left it at the Chinese, perhaps, dropped it in Tesco's, which we visited for some toothpaste and another few small items. And it's blown away when we were looking up. Or was it blown away when we were looking out to sea on the previous evening? I'm assuming that's Bempton. But it was cold and she wouldn't have noticed. But it was cold and she would have noticed if not having it on. That's what we both thought. We checked the car too. There was nothing. Oh, well, she must have dropped it. But we thought we'd go back to the restaurant the next day and ask them. A couple of days later, we were walking along one of the streets in Bridlington town centre, saw some Chinese people inside the cafe talking and eating. They recognised us, came out to talk. We asked them about the scarf and they said nothing had been left. We gave up thinking about it. Losing a personal item with a lot of history is quite troubling, but it's only a thing after all. The end of our holiday came. We visited Bempton twice, once by day and once by night. We saw nothing but enjoyed the cold weather and the view of the sea and the stars. It's a good job because it's cold up there. We also visited Dade's Dyke, the Rudston Monolith. All in all, we had a great time. We left Bridlington to drive back to Manchester. Nothing eventful occurred. She's lost the scarf. Time passed and we were both packing up to go our separate ways. Leaving Manchester Airport on January the 3rd, she went back to Japan, me to Saudi Arabia. On the last night, she said, I didn't want to tell you this because I was afraid you would think I was losing my mind, but the scarf is back. The day after we returned to Manchester, I was changing my clothes. Obviously, this is his wife talking. Taken my trousers off, folded them, laid them over a chair. I turned away to grab some other clothes and turned back, and the scarf was laying next to the trousers on the chair, casually folded as if placed there quite intentionally. Now, the first possible explanation is subconsciously she had hidden it for 5 days and carried it inside the house upstairs into the bedroom and placed it there, and then consciously noticed it. But what would the point be of that? Or she had accidentally stuffed it inside her clothes and then it had flopped out. But it couldn't have appeared on the chair, would it? It could have fallen to the floor and the clothes she had been wearing, but they were not baggy. She would have been walking around with a lump on the side of her leg. You know, it's a little drawn-out story, but the point is he's talking about apports here, guys. So I ruled out all of these plausible explanations. We have concluded that the scarf was recovered and apported to us as a gesture of our presence in the places we visit. This is a highly functioning academic, and we've all met. Us guys have met him. There's nothing outrageous about this man's behaviour. He's
No.
honestly can lose me and find me with most things when it comes to you know this scientific talking. Whatever caused the effect is strong, and the place has left us with a memory. It's the story of the scarf. So you guys might think, I don't know about that, but knowing who it's come from, and we know the guy, and I think it's interesting.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, in the past, we've experienced things disappearing and reappearing, and I've always been a big believer to say to people, just ask for it back. Ask for it back. And not all the time, but a lot of the times, in my experience, you've asked for something back, it reappears, and a lot of the times, it reappears in the most sillier places and the most obvious of places. I mean, we re-roofed a building many years ago now, me and a good pal of mine, and they used to have a real big fluorescent green, if I remember rightly, tape measure, an 8-meter tape measure. And he looked everywhere for it. It had gone in this building, this old building that was re-roofing. Looked absolutely everywhere for it, and he was quite cheesed off with it. It was like his favourite tape measure. Anyway, whatever it was, a few days later or whatever, we sat there. We decided, right, it's 10 o'clock. We're going to have a cup of tea. So we sat there on the floor in the roof space of this building. He sat across from me. I'm sat on the floor, and I looked down right next to him, right next to his leg. Between his leg and his lunchbox was this bright fluorescent green tape measure. And I just said to him, I says, Alf. And he's what? And I went, look. And he looked down next to him. And he was like, you are joking me, aren't you? So he said, thank you. Clipped it back on his waistband. We'd have seen it. Yeah, I mean, it was there. There's nothing on the floors up there apart from our stuff. So, I mean, where did it come from? I mean, I didn't see it appear. It certainly wasn't there when he was sat down. It's just after he'd been sat there and we're just chewing the fat, let's say, and there it was. Just
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Strange one.
Well, have you any thoughts on that, Jack, or before we go to this next bit of footage?
No, but I agree with Ian. Certainly, if it's going to ask for it back, and sometimes we've all lost things, haven't we? And then it has appeared, and you think, well, I've never been in there, in that room, or whatever.
Excuse me.
Strange.
Well, just before we go to that footage, when the farmer were losing the sheep, the fatalities, I've done this story before, but I've not thought of it as an apport. But let's assume I went up there 4 days a week, and he went up 3, or him 3 and me 4. I'd always get up there about 4:30 in the morning, trying to catch whatever was causing these sheep kills. And he says to me, I've lost one of my lambs, and it weren't a little one, it was like a Labrador size, and sprayed a number on its side, number 35, blue number. He says, I've lost one. Told me this, and let's assume that was Sunday. He told me, because I can't remember days. And he said, so if you're in the woods or anywhere, just see if you come across it, you find it. So I did I took that on board, and he'd told me about it, and he'd lost it, and a couple of days had passed, and I went, did my early morning walk across the fields, night vision, looking at, when you're looking at an expanse of a grass field that sheep have eaten, even before it gets fully light, you'll see if there's any sheep on field. Ian knows this, Jack knows this. It's just grass that's been chewed down. You can see them. There's nothing there. So I do a sweep at field, go into the wood, and I come out, and field's split into two, just to add recycling grazing, I suppose. So when I come out at about 8 o'clock in the morning, or 7:30, 8, I'm walking along field, and I open gate and shut it. And when I look up field, 50 yards in front of me, there's a sheep there that weren't there when I arrived. It was not there. I went up to it. Obviously, it's passed away. It's deceased. It's clap cold. It's not bloated. It's been missing a few days. Front left leg gone. Ears removed. Weird situation. Number 35 that disappeared before. It weren't there. So is that an apport? And I rang him up. I said, I found that sheep. I said, what number did you say were on it? He said, 35. I said, it's here. He says, it can't be. And this guy, and a lovely man, to be honest with you, but this is the mentality of people. A fox must have took it and brought it back. That's what he said. It were bigger than a fox, but a fox must have took it and brought it back. I said, well, it weren't there this morning when I arrived early doors. But it's there now. And that were a puzzler. That were a real puzzler for me, that one. So is that an apport? Is that what we've experienced there? I don't know what that was. But I think I've told you that before, haven't I, Jack? And Ian, I'm sure I have.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have. I mean, there'd be nowhere fox don't bring something back.
No,
not at all.
And a lamb of
Not
that
at all.
size will weigh. Yeah, I mean, I would have thought it at least 3 times the weight of a fox.
absolutely. And we aren't being macabre. Only thing, well, it's front left leg that were gone. It's front left leg. But anyway,
I think that was put there for you.
I personally,
in my opinion,
so strange. It was a strange one. So we'll just go to this last bit of footage. Now, people might remember, and Ian and Jack do, that I don't know, 2023 into 2024, we were finding little bits of gravel, little pea-sized stones that we were hearing clapping, hitting laminating all the way and stuff. And we'd heard one. I've never played this bit of footage before. We'd heard one of these cracks, and I went into the kitchen. And while I were in the kitchen, there were a flash of light. And I obviously don't know what it's about. We look on CCTV, and I literally got the Sony camera and filmed the CCTVs. This is what you're going to see. So this is a flash of light after we've heard the little crack. But that camera now, the CCTV camera, is just permanently blurred. But you're going to see it. So have a look what you think. There's nothing. Whenever you watch this, and Ian will vouch for this, and Jack, there's no buildings where the bulk of this is. But let me just shut up and let you guys have a look. Go on.
This is at your home, isn't it?
This is at my home, looking out, and you've got a row of townhouses to the left, and in one of the frames it lights up that much that you can actually see there's nothing there. So let's just play it, shall we? That camera weren't blurred before. That's not a building. That's crazy. Hold on, sorry guys, let me play it again. We were at back end of it. Start again. Go on. Obviously, I've slowed this down. There's no buildings where that light is, and you'll see that in a moment. You see that?
Yeah.
What that square thing is, I don't know.
It's got some intensity about it, hasn't it?
Absolutely. But say, I only went in the kitchen because we'd heard that crack of the little stone. I know I've played it a few times, but I just want people to get a gist of it. It's that puzzles me, that shape.
Yeah.
One more time, then we've done. So I don't know what to make of that. Somebody might have an idea. What it's
Very
what it's
curious.
a little stone. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
So these
Have
little
they
stones.
stopped now, Paul?
what, mate?
Have they stopped now? The little
Yeah,
stones.
yeah, we're not hearing them now. No, and I only
No.
went in the kitchen because I'd heard one. But while I was
Yeah.
in the kitchen, there's a flash of light. So she looks on CCTV, and I just went and got Sony camera and filmed it.
Seems very coincidental, doesn't it? There's
Yeah.
these things appearing. I mean, most of the time when you was hearing them, you was
In
either in your front room or in bed, weren't you?
Well, yeah, well,
And
there's
this time-
little middle TV room, and you'd hear them, yeah, because we don't have door shut. To be honest, for a long time, we thought, I don't know if anybody, you'll have all experienced it. You hear a switch like a light switch clicking, or your kettle switch somehow flicks on and clicks up when it shouldn't. We hear that, and that's what I thought it was. I didn't realize it. It were only when we'd just gone to bed and I heard one outside bedroom door, and I got up and opened door. There's a little stone there, and that's what switched us onto it. And I've got them. I'm not bothered getting them, but I've saved them all. How sad am I?
To me, them flashes are very similar to what we've managed to film several times now, haven't we? That people have seen on quite a few occasions.
Yeah,
Before the crossing, as well as on the cliff tops when there was two of them. And then there was that rolling light that came across.
Yeah,
but it was only the rolling light that I sort of like that on the cliff tops that we had. Well, you and Jeremy saw that.
Yeah.
The other flashes, I mean, thinking back to some of the comments that people are saying, it could be lightning, it could be this, but it's a very localized area for something to be happening on a regular, reasonably regular basis. And then seeing that, what's come up back of your houses, yeah, I know it well around there. There's nothing there, but then you're left with that strange shape. I mean, let's say, for instance, it was a firework.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be left in the sky with that shape.
No,
which is strange. I mean, maybe artifact of the camera, maybe, but it's just very, very intense in it.
It's an odd one.
Absolutely.
And another thing, we don't know what colour it was. Simply, I saw a flash, and the flash through. It's a frosted glass door, half glass at back, and blinds had been drawn, so it looked white, but we don't know it. We don't know what colour it was really, because that's CCTV, isn't it? It's filming in night shot. We'll just throw this out here. Let's just see what Jack might have a few thoughts on this. Do you think using infrared night vision goggles triggers or upsets from entities? I've no thoughts.
I can't say. I mean, we use it all the time. We use night vision all the time, don't we? We use infrared all the time. I don't think it upsets anybody, to be perfectly honest. But that's just my opinion. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, you're right. We do use infrared all the time. And the cameras that we're using are very sensitive to infrared. So anything, even a little spark of infrared from a long distance away, them cameras will pick it up. We won't see it with our naked eyes. But as for it to setting something off, again, how would we know? You know what I mean? Because I've got quite a good infrared illuminator it'll chuck a really wide beam out, not a long way, but it's an area light. And then we've got some really good lights like you and Paul have, and Jeremy has, and myself, that you can be a focused beam that will go a really long way into the darkness.
Absolutely.
Who's to know if we can't ever really say that we've had a reaction from something through IR light.
Well, just before we jump into another question, I mean, for people, and people genuinely don't know what we're using up there, but we're using thermal cameras, infrared cameras, tri-field meters, EMF meters, good quality night vision cameras, form of psionics, some cheap night vision cameras that are just fixed and rolling all the time we're up there. We are trying. Do you know what I mean? We are trying, and because sometimes you'll see comments, oh, why don't you try thermal? And I'm thinking, have you actually listened to what we've ever been talking about? We do. There's definitely at least 3 thermals up there, and not little Mickey Mouse thermals that like some gadget you'll get on a phone. Good quality thermals, so and even the phone ones, though, to be honest with you, everything's getting good now. Tech's getting much better. Look at the footage Ian managed to capture on his thermal. Can you imagine 10 years ago, that would have gone unnoticed? That things like that could have been watching, or if that's what it were doing, let's assume it were observing. Things like that could have been observing up and down those cliffs with just at will, and nobody would have an absolute clue. What if something like that is what's creating the fear in people? What if it's near you and you can feel this intense feeling of overwhelming dread, and there's something like that buzzing 50 foot away? You've no idea it's there. But thanks to the thermal, that were captured.
Yeah, such a good point. Good point.
So, a good point. You know that the new camera that I've got, the little indoor one.
Yeah.
The other night I switched the infrared off, and you know how the I can't remember the space people, the moon dog, is it moon dog?
The astronomers.
Astronomers, where they were at the visitor center, it was all red. So I couldn't see the red on my camera, but when I switched the infrared off, the red was very apparent. I couldn't see very much more, but I could certainly see the red distinctly up by the visitor center. So I think it's also important to experiment by switching just to basic camera with no night vision, because sometimes they can pick things up, particularly sharp lights, can't they?
Absolutely.
Another thing we're doing now, isn't it? We're recording to and from where we're going to stand, because we've missed stuff over the years.
We have to do. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I mean, that darkness. I mean, people have maybe heard us mention that darkness. I mean, you weren't there that particular night, Jack, but it was me, Paul, and Pete. It was fairly misty, and it was really. We'd all just commented on how dark it was.
Very dark.
We get so far down that path, and it just went 25-30% darker, and we all stopped and we all commented, "What was that?" So
it weren't gradual, was it? It was just a switch.
No, it was just gone, just literally gone. So that's the reason now why we're starting to film as we're walking. I generally have mine filming backwards because I'm at the back a lot of the time. Up to now, you and Paul have picked something up very briefly, but when you two or Paul is not quite 100% what that is. Until that's cleared up, we're going to keep it between ourselves at the moment. But I was filming at the same time. I was filming backwards, like I said. I didn't see anything. But it's the thing we do, because only before Christmas, you and Pete was at the front. I was walking behind you, and you saw something shoot across the path from your right to the left that went into the undergrowth.
So fast.
You described as like a white bean can.
It was about the size of a bean can, and the length of it. It was slightly luminous and a silvery white colour, and it just went, literally just shot across in front of us. And Pete, typical Pete fashion, did they see that? I said, I did, yeah. Weren't an animal. It was really strange. And literally, and then somebody put in a comment earlier, do you think you're seeing these things and because you're more aware and you're more open to looking for it? Because I wonder how many things like that have actually happened up there and people have gone, what was that? That were odd. And never give it a second thought. We're not special, but in that respect, but we're looking for it now, aren't we? We're looking for the anomalies, looking for the quirkiness. We'll not linger on next question, but I'm putting it up just because maybe try mentioning Alistair Crowley in conversation on the cliffs and see if you'll get a reaction. Self-proclaimed Prince of Darkness. Well, like I think what we said before, Vorp. What we said before is we're not actively trying to stir anything up in a negative way. Whatever's coming and interacting, it's for the most part. There has been times when it's not been that nice, but for the most part, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, I won't be mentioning Alistair Crowley up there because if he's a Prince of Darkness, he can bugger off, can't he?
Well, I think you've got a little model of the Prince of Darkness, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
it's Jack.
It's not Jack.
It was Jack when he's been eating his Haribos.
Oh, I don't think them. Right.
Sorry, Jack.
Perhaps are we perhaps the lower intelligence and the phenomena it has to dumb down? Yeah. No disrespect to you. No disrespect taken at all. But if it had to dumb down, it's not imparting anything. To me, it's not giving us anything. Even to point of, we're not spiritualists, but or mediums. But when you look at clairvoyance and mediumship, they rarely give you a solid answer. You get little clues from what I've heard and little hints at what things are. I mean, there'll be some people more proficient in that than me, but why is that? You know, I've heard people talking about it and they said, they want to give you flowers or they want to give you food for thought. And I'm thinking, why not just tell us? You know, maybe I'm being a bit too harsh, but is it the phenomena that's too intelligent and it has to dumb down for us? Maybe. Why present as a light and sort of bounce off around us a few months ago? I know we don't know the answer to that, but to me, it wanted to communicate. And if it's super intelligence, even if it has to dumb down, it could dumb down enough then so it could communicate on our lower intelligence level. But it doesn't seem to do that. I don't know.
No, it's how you interpret it, innit? It's what comes through. I mean, some things come through and you haven't a clue what's that mean, and then you try and understand it, and then you ask for a bit more. That's in my interpretation of it, is trying to work it out. It's a bit of a puzzle. I suppose it's like if you popped up on on a desert island with someone from a totally different place in the world who talks a totally different language, you'd get the gist of it eventually through, trying to figure it out. But actually having a proper conversation, you'd struggle, wouldn't you? Is it the same?
It's like my little dog. I mean, he knows I like him, and he knows I love him, and I rub him, pat his head and that, and he sometimes watches television, but he ain't got a clue what's happening. He don't know what they're talking about on news. He does. He sits watching TV. He don't know what they're on about, does he? Any more than I know what he's thinking. You what?
Are you sure? Because when I came round the other day, he was sat in your chair with a controller in his hand.
yeah. What about that? So Matthew Cook, mass surveillance study by man. I'm not sure that we're under. I don't know, Matthew. Some people might be important enough to be under mass surveillance. I'm not sure, unless you're thinking of that as a populace as a whole. Then yeah, fair crack. Let's have a look. All right, Deb Shaw. It seems like there's many different reasons for their interactions, environment and mood for sure, but some people just naturally attract. Yeah, you're spot on without realizing they're doing it. Yeah, you're spot on. We kind of knew when we touched on Annie, who came up last year with Maeve. The lady who does the dowsing, she brought her friend Annie up, and we kind of knew because we've had a lot of people up there. And some people have said that they're clairvoyant and they can do this and do that. And as soon as this woman started talking and coming out with information, you thought, where's she getting this from? I don't know. I know we've done this, but it was just, interesting lady.
Very good. Very good.
Right. Are we okay for another 15 minutes or so? Yeah. Are we all right, Jack?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Right. I tend to put a lot down to military tech, but I admit, if that's the case, why aren't we winning wars, seeing the tech being used? Well, do you know some? You make a good point. I said this about the flying triangles. There's, these triangles, and I always use John Hanson as an example because he's got that huge archive of material. Anybody wanting any UFO-related material, contact John Hanson. He's got the UFO Museum. I'm sure he'll sort you out with things. I don't know whether he charges, but if John's charging, he's a fair man. It wouldn't be a lot of money. He's got a monstrous archive, but he's got triangle reports from 1901. And if we got that tech in 1901, there's something wrong with the world. And when people were just plowing fields with horses and things, it's it's a strange one. Oh, just while I'm on with it as well, Mark Farnell. I don't think Ian or Mark, but Lee mentioned it to me, and it's only fair. Mark's just written his new book, which is out on Amazon. Great fella, Mark. So it's called Wolves of Britain. I'm not going to profess that I've read it because I haven't, but I know he's worked hard on the book because he's been telling me about it over the last year or so. So the book's out now on Amazon. It might be worth you just visiting and having a look. And also, while we're on with it, cheers, Ian. If you're interested in my books, and I can't believe people take offence that I'm trying to sell books. They do. But anyway, if you're interested in the books, truthproof.uk, so you can, get all of these books. There's 4 of these. It's full of reports. And obviously Night People, what Ian's just shown, and the Wolflands DVD. That can also be obtained on Amazon Prime. So, and Kindle versions of the books are on Amazon as well. So, and if I sell a book or a DVD, it'll be posting morning. That's how it works. I'm really punctual when I post these things out. So that's my bit done. I'm sorry if I've offended anybody by advertising my own books. Yeah. So, but anyway,
and John Hanson's.
Yeah, you want John Hanson's and Mark Farnell's? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But and anybody that wants to come on and talk about any of your experiences and your views on the phenomena, we're all ears. Just get in touch with, because I struggle, to be honest with you, with time to get people. Oh, there's loads of questions here, mate. Let's just have a look. Let's try this one. Evening, guys. Always great to see you, 40, and good to see you as well, mate. Have you been able to cross-reference positions of the moon when you've had an increase in reports and experiences? That could have a bearing. You make a good point. You make a good point, and I did know on it, and I weren't doing moon deliberately. It was when I was checking tide times for different things and different occurrences that certain things were happening on a waning gibbous moon. Do you know, with regularity? When you've got a strange anomaly, it were occurring on a waning gibbous moon. So, and that just showed up looking at tide times, because obviously they show you cycles of the moon as well, or phases of the moon, should I say.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on any of that before we move away?
It was in the sky.
Very interesting.
It was in the sky, yes. Nano. Let's have a look. Dave McPork Pie. Yeah, Paul, do you think there's a link with a person's blood group, type and type interactions? I don't know. People have said about blood groups in the past. I don't think I've got a rare blood group to myself, and I don't know what you guys think.
I'm not sure at all about that.
No, but honestly, it has been mentioned that certain entities, should we say, the alien type beings, are interested in certain body types and blood groups, but whether that's true
actually, it would make sense.
Yeah. Let's have a look here. Evening, fellas. Great to hear you talking. I'm over your way Thursday, Friday, if anyone's out and about. Hey, it's Michael. Yeah, we'll make time for you, mate. Always. Yeah, and we'll not go into detail, but you can tell us about how you went on at Flixton, because I found that quite amusing. But brilliant. Of course we'll make time for you, mate. Always. And let's just move on then.
Be good to see you, Michael.
Never boring. Mia Girl. I'd love to see Mia Girl as well. I hope you're feeling much better. Never boring. Right, over 300 people listening.
Excellent.
Yeah, you know this person, Ian?
Yeah, it's my gorgeous mother.
Yeah.
I better say that because I'll see her and she'll smack me in the gob.
I tell you what, I mean, we're not going into it tonight because it's not the time, is it? But your mum's had some interesting experiences in her life, hasn't she? You want to explain?
Lots of her life. Yeah, a lot of her life. I mean, we're from a seafaring family, and a lot of superstition in the family. Lots of things my mum still won't say. A lot of things she was brought up with, not being able to say certain words, certain colours and certain things. And yeah, my mum's had lots of experiences and lots of weird things as well as a mother. Weird stuff. She's gonna let you film her one day, I think, Paul, and then.
Well, that would be good, wouldn't it? Because, as I say, I've only met her once, and lovely woman, and it'd be good to hear what she's got to share. Because and maybe you'd be a better person to impart it than me. Come on, and we'll talk about it and some of these experiences. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff goes back many, many years. Many years.
Have you seen out at Carnaby? I go there in camper van. So, well, yeah, there are things that have been seen at Carnaby, and probably Ian's got a bit more on that one than I've got, because you've been up and around there with your dogs walking and things, haven't you, in past?
I have. I mean, we had I'll keep it as brief as I can because there's other questions there, but there was me and two friends that was up there one night. It was really, really heavy. We'd had a really bad winter. It was a few years back. I think it was the beast from the east, let's say. So it was minus 15 or whatever it was. And clear as day, we heard someone walking. It was in the darkness. We heard someone walking or something heavy walking in the snow that was maybe 30 feet away from us. And we all just stood there looking. And we heard it. And then we turned our lights on and there was absolutely nothing there. You could see there was nothing there anyway. But when we went to where the footsteps had come from, the crunch of the snow and the ice, there was no footprints there. There was nothing there. So that was at Carnaby.
Obviously, I don't know what you'll think, Jack, but and we'll never know. But it's almost like there's something playing with you there, then, isn't it? Because obviously, if you can hear the footsteps crunching in the snow, you should see prints in the snow.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know,
it was as loud as one of us walking. It was loud as one of us walking.
Okay, right. We'll have a look at this. That's what Simon bloke in the US has talked about when him and his mate came face to face with a dogman when they were kids. The dogman talked to him in his mum's and his grand's voice. That's if true, Simon, and I'm not saying it isn't. That is frightening, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But then again, you think to yourself, is that something else that's almost holographic, and you're seeing something not as real as you think it is? I don't know. That's frightening.
It would be frightening, but I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be surprised.
No,
I wouldn't be surprised.
There were a report. Well, like you said, we're sort of getting tight here for time. There were a report years ago of when people talk about dogman stroke werewolf, that this thing, and it were an American one, and it was this group of young men, should we say, had encountered it while they were out, sort of wandering about, and one of them literally fainted in fear, and it stood over him, looking at him, and they're looking at this beast of a thing. Behind it, there was nettles and thistles. Makes sense in a moment. But what I found fascinating, this guy absolutely terrified and just fainted, passed out. When something disturbed it, they said, and they saw some little lights through in the nettles and thistles, just little chinks of light, and it turned. And when it turned and ran through them, once again, we've got to rely on the people telling the truth, but let's assume he is. He said the nettles and thistles didn't lay down and go flat. They just sort of moved like wind as it went through them, as though there were no substance to it. But he also said, this is what I liked about this guy's story. When it turned, I saw it had an earring in. And I'm thinking, wow, if you just want to discredit yourself and make it sound ridiculous, you just have done. But you sounded so plausible, and why would you add that little element that would, for some people, wreck the story? So real weird elements, just like Simon's just saying, they talked in his mum's and his grand's voice. That's frightening, isn't it?
But if you remember, guys, just a few months ago, the three of yous heard somebody speak in with my accent, didn't you?
Absolutely.
And you all thought it was me, and I never said a word. And it was my accent, according to you. Three of yous, not just one, but three of yous heard that.
And what you said were ridiculous if it were you that said it, because you were kind of talking to Chris as though you'd just met him.
I don't know if you know, but I found out this later. Darren had said to Chris that when I met them at the car park, that's what I said to Chris.
Right.
Because it was the first time I'd seen him since coming back from Brazil.
Yeah.
And it was the same words as I said in the car park.
Yeah.
Which is crazy in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I heard it, and I don't know who I looked at. It might have even been Ian, and I looked round and I went, what's he on about? Because it was ridiculous, because it'd just been he'd been talking to him for probably an hour, and suddenly
yeah,
you're just introducing yourself to him.
Yeah.
I nearly swear at you because I was explaining how to get to the replay on your Sirenix camera,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden this just came out, and I was like, I felt like saying, "Hey, you cheeky," yeah. I mean, in the middle of talking to me, I'm in the middle of talking to you, and then you've just blanked me and started asking Chris Mack how's he doing or whatever it was.
I
you
think
said.
Paul did actually swear at me.
Did
he
I?
says, yes, you effing did. I said,
yeah,
"No, I
yeah.
didn't."
Yeah. Paul swore at you, yeah.
Right, paranormal. Do you think dark humor is like right? Stop it, you lot. Look at me joking about maybe the funny side gives off a vibe. Yeah, that it picks up on. I don't know what it is, Terry. To be honest, I really don't know. We think it's the dark humor, but it could be, in my opinion, I think it could be the mood it sets us up in that creates the connection. And there'll be some people looking at this and saying, what are they on about? But some of the things that we've seen this last 12 months up there with no proof, apart from what's in here, have been quite profound.
I mean, the dark humour thing. I mean, sorry, Jack, but the other day we had a bit of dark humour on your behalf when you said about you was going to show some of this footage from your locked off cameras in your house. And Pete said, are we going to see Jack walking past with nothing on? Do you know what I mean? Bollock, let's say. And then the EMF meter started going, having a little nibble. And it's like, there you go. Okay.
So here's our Laura. This is my youngest daughter. Not so much a question, more something I'm noticing. Things seem really off at this time. I noticed any sounds, things not being where you left it. Notice what's that? What do you think, Henry? And any sounds?
Energy.
Energy sounds. Something's not adding up at times. I don't know, Laura. I don't know what ENERY is. Any sounds? I think it's any. I don't know. Let's go on. Sorry. Something happening. We're more alert to it, more aware. So are you saying that people are waking up, Laura? Something's happening. Are we more alert to it and more aware? Maybe. Yeah. Right. Bob Sykes. Let's have a look. After having a lifetime of ET type experience, I have come to the assumption that there's very much a spiritual aspect to the entire phenomena. What do you think? I agree, Bob.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, not necessarily Christianity or any religion, just a spirituality, a connection with this unknown other. Yeah, I would agree. I don't know what people in chat think to that, but I think so.
I agree.
Let's have a look. You've run it for us, guys, haven't you? They've given us these questions, and it's good. It seems you're all having strange issues with the phones. Yeah, we are. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are doing.
Very much so, but it's not just us three that's hearing it, is it? It's the other people, because quite a lot of the time when you ring me up, I'll be middle of doing something, so I'll put you on speakerphone while I'm getting on. My wife's heard different things. My daughter's heard different things. Like you and Jack and Chris Mack talking a lot on the phone, you've heard different things. And like you have, Paul, I mean, you've actually had stuff on record that is just
strange things, yeah,
silly. And
just talking about Chris Mack and the phenomena interacting at home. I mean, Chris lives about 45, 50 minutes away, maybe from the location, but comes through as often as he can. And he'll not mind me saying, but at home, his PC, which he's not used in ages, has been on. He says you've got to physically press button quite down. I don't mean hard, but everybody knows what PC is like. You've got to press button to get it on. And it's been on. And he says, my dad's turned PC off. Or said,
but not just on, Paul. On and playing music.
On and playing music. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. And then he said, once again, if we go with Dave's story of the scarf and suddenly rematerializing, we got Chris who said, when you remove your clothes on a night, he says, I take jeans off, I have to undo the belt, unzip them. He says, and I usually zip them back up and put them on, whatever, however he does it. But he said they were all fastened up. the buckle, the belt, everything's done. He says, and I've not done it. He said, I don't understand that one either. The kind of things that we're talking about it in this context on a live stream, people think, oh, that's mental. These lads, what are they on? What are they on? But Chris ain't coming out with weird and magical things. He's not coming out with really strange things. Chris is the guy that I walked around Dane's Diet with, and he said, did Darren ever tell you about the sphere of light that came out of the mist crackling? And we're in the darkness, and suddenly my phone burst into life and started talking about static electricity. It's in my pocket, fingerprint to turn it on. We stopped and looked round, there's nothing there. Entering Dane's Dyke, he's talking about something similar, and you guys will know more about this than me. You can answer phones with his vehicle, can't he? Phone rings, he presses a button and he can answer it. And his phone, while we're in his vehicle, it just started. He's got to switch it on. It was weird, and we were on about that same thing again. What's happening there? I don't know. And then again, I'm contradicting myself when we talk about the intelligence of the phenomena. It implies a high level of intelligence if it can do things like that. Right, let's have a look here. My uncle started moving things around at work on a night shift. He would sneak in when off and do it. His colleagues started to talk about the poltergeist. They got a priest in to exercise the warehouse. Rocky, 100, that's bound to happen, mate, isn't it? You're spot on. And obviously it's sad for the people. And that then again, I suppose that becomes people's belief system then, doesn't it? Some people want to believe it so much, even when they've been told it's been happening. But I wonder if some things happen because suddenly you're thrown into that environment. I don't know.
He was buggering about one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's see what Zen said. What if the phenomena was the timeline control program using encounters and en masse to change someone's life and alter the future, as if timeline molding, like terraforming, but using incidents to do it? Wow. I think there's we need you on here, Zen, to actually work us through that one. Yeah, absolutely. I think we know it comes out with some great and thought-provoking stuff, though.
He does, and he was a nice guy when we've met him in person. Yeah,
absolutely.
Nice guy, nice kid. Yeah.
All right, so we've got right. Al Durham, is Jack's phone Android, iPhone? Was the phone placed screen down or up? Good point, Al.
Screen down, up, Baba.
What?
Was your screen down or up? In the bedroom. Up.
Yeah.
It's an Apple, and it was screen up.
Screen up, yes.
We might not get to your answer for that, Al, but anybody wanting any research, contact Al Durham. Is as thorough as anybody I know. But yeah, good point. Evening, bit late, but we'll catch up. Okay. You'll not be catching up long, about 8 minutes to catch up then. But it's always good to see you. Let's have a look. Poltergeist. I think we might. Oh God, what's this one? Let's have a look here. I have never wanted to experience anything other than seeing a ghost. Why do I get bloody UFOs and experience physical and non-physical nature? Ghosts, nope. I wish I could answer that, mate. I really do. We don't do enough ghost stories on Truth Proof, and I get quite a few sent, so we might start talking about people's ghostly experiences. But I don't know, Vorp. I mean, the thing is, unless you're really disliking your experiences, at least you're getting some kind of connection. I mean, we've got 366 people in here at the moment, and I wonder, as a collective, what you guys have all experienced, and whether, if we had percentages, whether a lot of it's ghost related, UFO related. I know we don't know, and it's probably the wrong time to ask, but it's interesting just same. Because you're all in different things.
What would people's thoughts be? I mean, you just mentioned it. Then would people in the chat just let Paul know if you want some ghost stories? If you want to, we'll do a session on ghost stories.
I think so. That would be good. So here's the guy. I'm glad we got to this one. So this is Ian, who I was filming a few weeks ago. Was at Bempton 2 weeks ago for the first time. I was blown away. Strange lights going across the sky. Ian Linney got coat pulled. Paul hearing that voice. It was amazing. And I'm glad you backed us up on that, because we've spoke about you. Actually, Ian said, and Jack, our I was filming you, and then Ian got the coat pulled. So yeah, that's good to have a bit of confirmation. Once again, though, it's so frustrating because a lot of the proof, and I think a lot of listeners are in the same boat. All the proof's in here. We just haven't got. It's anecdotal, and we haven't got that visual proof, have we?
You see, while he mentions the lights there, we see these lights on a reasonably regular basis. I've been looking in the comments of some of the things about the lights, and some of the people are saying, could it be afterburners from aircraft taking off? Could it be landing lights? Whereas Jack was in the RAF for many years and is more than well versed of how aircraft behave. And I think you looked it up, Jack, and the nearest anything with military on is how far away was it, Jack, as the crow flies?
The other night, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a long way away. It was a long way away.
Over 50 miles away, wasn't it? So
yes. It was. In fact, it's what I was calculating is as the crow flies distance from Bempton to Teesside Airport, and then as the crow flies from Bempton to Newcastle Airport, if you remember. So I think it was, I want to say 50 something to Teesside and 80 something to statute crow flying miles to Newcastle Airport. And yet we are often see a light towards Teesside just come on and then go off, and there's nothing on any tracker that I use. It's not like any other air, because if you remember that same night of the incident, the coke pull, there was the Amsterdam to Teesside flight going into Teesside, which we could see quite clearly, blinking, flashing on and off, and it went over our heads. And then yet again, this light was appearing close to it, and then just fading into nothing, wasn't it? So
it went right under it. It went right under it, didn't it?
It did, absolutely.
Yeah, it went right under it. So you could, you know what I mean, to answer that question for people in the comments, you could clearly see what was an aircraft and what this light is underneath is, again, it's strange. It didn't look anything like what an aircraft was.
No.
So, Keith, perhaps people who want to see something have subconsciously dropped their guard or removed the filter that is enabling them to have an experience. Yeah, right.
Possibility.
We're just about there, guys, and thanks for questions, and apologies for questions that probably I haven't asked, but I've tried to do just about all of them. There was a few aimed at me specifically that I've not sidestepped, but well, I suppose I have, but you know, I should have just meant talking about other stuff for a while. Right? Do you think there's nothing there on the cliffs in our dimension, and what are your experiences, and what you are experiencing is another, and it's portal allowing you to see through into such? I don't know. I really don't know. Once again, this is the kind of citizen science, isn't it? And it's just a great question, by the way. But I just wish I knew, and to try and answer it, you know, you'd have to try and answer it with words of science, and I don't even think scientists would tackle answering it because they wouldn't consider what's happening. All we know is that these experiences are occurring, and people are having these strange occurrences up there. What the mechanics of it all are, though, I really don't know.
It's all genres of it as well, in it. It's all over, in it.
Yeah,
it's UFO, it's ghost, it's cryptid, it's spirit, it's also it's undersea, it's all sorts. It's just
I like this question. Paul, do you think these things happen when nobody is about? Does it need us? Does the phenomena need us? That's interesting, isn't it?
That's a good question.
Does the phenomena need us? Once again, we'll draw back to Mark. Why here? Why are they coming to see us? You've got miles to the right, left, miles to the right, and yet they're visiting us. Perhaps it is happening, but then again, Ben, we wouldn't know, would we? We just wouldn't know. But it's a good question, and I don't know.
We're just the witnesses.
We're just the witnesses, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'll just put that on. Thank you very much. Thanks for everybody who supported us tonight. Thank you, Mark. But everybody, to be honest, that's really, really kind of you. Have you tried dowsing rods? Well, Maeve's been up there with a dowsing
did,
rod,
yeah.
like the Dyke. Yeah. And Chris Mack, we'll end on Chris Mack's. Oh, that's not a question. I thought it was a good. Paul, question. Everyone wants to know: is there a special offer of 3 bottles? Heinz ketchup. Yeah, I'm not going to do an advert for the supermarket, but yeah,
Nice one.
let's just say we went somewhere other day, a shop other day, and they'd got an offer on these £5 bottles of sauce that Mary likes. But you buy 2 and you get 1 free. So we ended up carrying 3 back. And I don't know what we went for. Probably only went for milk. But anyway,
Go on,
yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, we was taking the mickey, weren't we? Because we was talking about which is the best pie shop and where do you get the best pies from, and this, that, and the other. And then you started going on about tomato sauce.
Oh, I know.
And I said to it, and we all laughed as if, I mean, there's all those blokes up here talking about strange supernatural things, and we're really talking about the price of 3 bottles of
tomato sauce.
Tomato
Yeah.
sauce.
Ian, the monkeys made an appearance as well Friday night, didn't they?
Oh, they did. Yeah, the monkeys.
Yeah, well,
everybody can see what people have been, what they're into and looking at, can't they, on their phones? Well, because obviously it shows you the majority of what you're looking at, and there's monkeys come up on my phone quite a lot. Anyway, I better stop. So, on that note, I think we'll end it there, guys. Thanks for support, everybody. I mean, we've held between 350 and 400 people, and I hope we've got to some of your questions. I know we've not answered with any positivity because, quite honestly, we're all in the same boat looking for it. But we'll give it another go on Sunday, and have a great week, guys. Ian, thank you. Jack, thank you, and we'll catch you guys later.
Thank you, everybody.
you're welcome. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Is this an adventure or what? We don't need unexplained phenomena. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey we're taking you on. I know you come expecting to hear about big cats, cryptids, UFOs. We will touch on some of that, but I think it's worth sharing some of this with you, don't you? There's only 2 living souls up here today.
Because I can see it in my mind, I can see it in my head what I saw, but I can't describe.
Our eyes was closed, like a brightish light in my face, and I just felt paralysed.
Someone said there's something out there, so we had a look. It looked like a walnut. That's the only way I can describe it.
It was like it had loads of tiny little windows all over it, and it had lights in those windows, but not a light that illuminates.
Anyway, we were ushered into this lounge. This fella came in and said, whatever you saw was a weather effect.
And everything is deathly silent. There's no sea, there's no wind, there's no night noise, because, there's foxes all over here. There's nothing.